Hey folks, welcome back. After rejection, there's that moment when everything goes quiet. It's a hollow silence that settles deep in your chest, like the calm after a storm. And in that silence, 1,000 questions rush in. You feel the urge to fill it, to scream, to beg, to tell them they made a mistake and that you were worth it. They expect that. They want you to reach out, to chase after them, to show how much their absence is affecting you. They think you can't handle it. But don't tell me you're falling for it. Don't tell me you're pouring out all your pride, begging them to stay, trying to convince them of your worth. Maybe you did that before. Maybe in the heat of the moment you thought you needed their approval to feel whole. But that time is over. That version of you? Gone. Now you're about to show them something they never expected. Something they couldn't have predicted. You're going silent. Silence is the one thing they can't control. It's the one thing they never saw coming. They expected you to unravel, to lose sleep waiting for them to give you a sign, to throw you a bone. Instead, you're giving them nothing, no explanation, no emotional breakdown, no begging, just silence. And that silence, it will haunt them. They can handle anger, they can handle desperation. But silence? Silence is different. It's unsettling. It makes them question what they thought they knew about you. They thought they had you figured out, like they could predict your every move. But now, you're showing them that they never truly knew you at all. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Let them think what they want. Let them tell themselves they made the right choice. Let them believe that you're the one missing out." But as that silence stretches on, those words will ring hollow, and they'll feel it. They'll feel the weight of it. Your silence is something they can't manipulate. It's a force they can't ignore. Picture this. Every time they check their messages, every time they scroll through their notifications, they expect a response. But there's nothing. The silence grows, day by day, night after night. And that silence, it becomes a mirror that reflects their own actions, their own choices, their own inability to control you. They were expecting you to crumble, to beg for their validation, but instead, you're giving them the one thing they can't touch. This silence isn't passive, it's deliberate. It's your power. It's freedom. You're no longer handing over your emotions for them to play with. Your silence is a statement that they no longer dictate your narrative. They thought you needed them, but now they're left with nothing. They're left with the echoes of their own decisions. This silence is your strength. It's the power you took back. Every time you choose not to respond, every time you refuse to reach out, that silence becomes louder. It shakes them. It forces them to face the truth. You're not the person they thought they could manipulate or control. You're stronger than that. And they're going to feel that silence for a long time to come. So, here's the challenge. The next time you feel that pull to explain yourself, to reach out, or to beg for their attention, stop. Don't do it. Let them feel the absence of you. Let them sit with that silence. Because in that silence, you're taking back your power. You're choosing to rise above. You're showing them that your worth doesn't depend on their approval. Now, say it with me. My silence is power. Drop it in the comments. Let it be a declaration. Your silence is strength. And in this silence, you're the one in control. This isn't the end of your story. This is the beginning of something new, something fierce, because the version of you they thought they knew, gone. And in its place, they're about to witness the emergence of someone they can't ignore. Someone who doesn't need their validation, doesn't chase after them, and isn't defined by them. This silence isn't just the end of a chapter, it's the beginning of your transformation, the beginning of a comeback they'll never forget, the start of someone stronger, more resilient, and untouchable. So stay strong, breathe deep. This is your awakening. And as we move forward, you're about to become a force they'll never forget. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Number 1, anchor in the void. In moments of uncertainty, when everything around you feels like it's unraveling, it's easy to get caught up in the chaos. The world can feel overwhelming, a swirling void that pulls you in every direction. Relationships, circumstances, the expectations of others, it can all feel like it's closing in on you. And when that happens, it's tempting to reach for anything, anyone, to make you feel stable again. You might think you need to fill that emptiness, to do whatever it takes to escape the discomfort of the unknown. But here's the truth. The key to navigating the void, the chaos, and the uncertainty is not about filling the space with distractions. It's about learning to anchor yourself right there in the middle of it, in the stillness, in the discomfort, in the vastness of what feels like nothing. This is the moment when you stop running, when you stop searching for external validation or approval to feel whole. You anchor in the void by embracing the space between who you were and who you are becoming. You don't fight the emptiness. You don't try to control the flow of uncertainty. Instead, you sit with it. You let it wash over you without drowning in it. You breathe through it. You center yourself and realize that even in this space of seeming nothingness, you have everything you need to survive, to grow, and to thrive. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." And in this moment of void, that's what's happening. What seems like an obstacle, an absence, or a barrier is actually the fertile ground where your resilience is born. You don't need to rush to fill the void with external things. In fact, by doing so, you'll only keep yourself stuck in the same patterns. To anchor in the void means to become your own foundation. You stop relying on the approval or presence of others to define you. You stop clinging to old habits, old people, or outdated versions of yourself. You embrace the unknown and, rather than seeing it as a threat, you see it as an opportunity to rebuild. Every moment of discomfort, every wave of uncertainty is your invitation to go deeper, to uncover who you are without the noise, without the distractions, to step into your strength, which isn't reliant on the world outside of you, but on the inner core of your being. Now picture this. You're standing in the center of a storm. Winds are howling. The ground beneath you feels unstable, and everything around you seems to be in chaos. But instead of running, you find your center. You feel the strength of your own feet, the firmness of your resolve. You realize that you can stand, not because you know what comes next, but because you trust yourself to handle whatever comes. That's the power of anchoring in the void. You're not afraid of the uncertainty anymore because you know you can face it head-on with grace and composure. This is the lesson of Stoicism. You don't control the external world, but you can always control how you respond to it. You anchor in your values. You anchor in your vision. You anchor in your own sense of purpose. And as you do, the void, which once seemed intimidating, becomes a place of potential, a place where new growth can emerge. Just like a tree that grows stronger with the winds pushing against it, you too become stronger in the face of the void. When you anchor in the void, you realize that the space between what is and what could be is not a vacuum to be feared. It is the birthplace of your transformation. It is where the real magic happens. You find peace in the unknown because you no longer need external validation to feel whole. You are the source of your own strength, your own peace, your own power. So when you're in those moments of silence, of uncertainty, when the world seems to be swirling around you, remember this. Anchor yourself in the void. Find your center. Breathe through it. And know that you are not lost in it. You are being shaped by it. In the end, the void is not an obstacle. It is the space where your true self is being forged. So stand strong, anchor in the void, and let it be the foundation for everything that comes next. Number 2, harness the pain, forge it into power. Pain is one of the most powerful forces in life. Whether it's physical, emotional, or psychological, it's a universal experience. It can strike without warning, often leaving you feeling vulnerable, powerless, and lost. In those moments, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that pain is something to be avoided at all costs, something that diminishes you, breaks you, and leaves you weaker than before. It feels like a force beyond your control, a burden that you're forced to bear with no end in sight. But what if I told you that pain doesn't have to be your enemy? What if I told you that pain, in fact, could be your greatest ally? The Stoics knew this well. They didn't see pain as something to be avoided or feared. Instead, they understood it as a powerful tool for growth, transformation, and strength. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The pain you experience doesn't have to stop you. It can propel you forward if you know how to use it. Imagine pain as raw material. Think of it like metal that has been mined from the earth, rough, jagged, and unrefined. On its own, it seems useless, even harmful. But with the right process, it can be transformed. The blacksmith takes that metal and puts it through fire, intense, unforgiving heat, until it becomes something entirely different, a blade, sharp and resilient, ready for action. The process is painful, the fire scorching, but without it, the metal would never become what it was meant to be. And so it is with you. Pain, when harnessed correctly, can forge you into something stronger, more resilient, and more powerful than you ever thought possible. Instead of allowing it to break you, you use it to break through, to shatter the limits you once thought you had. This is how you turn pain into power. The first step is to acknowledge the pain, not deny it, not suppress it, but to truly face it. Understand it. Feel it. There's no strength in pretending it doesn't exist. Stoicism teaches us that it's not the pain itself that harms us, but our reaction to it. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." So when pain comes knocking, don't resist it. Don't let it control you. Instead, take a step back and recognize that pain is a message. It's telling you that something in your life needs attention, perhaps a belief, a behavior, or a part of yourself that's not serving you. Listen to it. Learn from it. Then, once you've acknowledged the pain, take control of it. Don't let it consume you. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this pain to grow? Every ounce of discomfort can become fuel for your transformation. If you're in emotional pain, what is it teaching you about yourself, about the world around you, or about the relationships you've built? If you're struggling with physical pain, what is it teaching you about your own limitations and your capacity to endure? Pain forces you to confront your weaknesses, and in doing so, it offers you a chance to strengthen them. Next, use that insight to forge your path forward. Pain, like fire, has the ability to burn away the unnecessary, to purify, to cleanse. When you harness the power of your pain, you are shedding old parts of yourself that no longer serve you. You're burning away doubt, fear, insecurity, and complacency, and in the process you become stronger, more focused, more driven. You create the space for something new to emerge. Think of the pain you've experienced as a sculptor would think of a block of marble. That block may look like a shapeless mass at first, but through skill, patience, and precision, the sculptor chips away at it, revealing the masterpiece hidden within. Your pain is the chisel that shapes you. It's the force that reveals the true strength inside of you. But remember, harnessing pain doesn't mean you become numb to it. It doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or pretend that everything is fine when it's not. It's about processing the pain, acknowledging its presence, and then consciously choosing how to respond to it. Pain is not a punishment. It's a teacher. It's an opportunity to grow, to evolve, and to step into a new version of yourself. As you learn to forge pain into power, you'll find that it no longer has the same control over you. You won't feel like a victim of your circumstances, but rather the creator of your own narrative. You'll begin to see that the difficulties you've faced weren't obstacles to your happiness, but stepping stones on the path to greatness. Every painful experience becomes a lesson learned, a strength gained, and a piece of wisdom that will help you build a more resilient future. And this is where the true power lies, in your ability to turn your wounds into wisdom, your struggles into strength, and your pain into the fuel that drives you toward your purpose. As you continue on this journey, you'll realize that the pain you once feared is now a source of pride, proof that you've overcome, that you've endured, and that you are stronger than you were before. To live a life of true power, you must learn to harness your pain, not as something to fear, but as a tool to shape your future. Every time you face pain, see it as an opportunity to forge yourself into a stronger, more resilient version of who you are meant to be. Embrace it, transform it, and use it as the fuel to propel yourself forward on the path of unstoppable growth. Number 3. Shatter the need for their validation. At some point in our lives, we all find ourselves seeking approval. Whether it's from our parents, partners, friends, or society, the need for validation is a deeply ingrained part of the human experience. It's natural to want to be seen, recognized, and valued. However, what happens when we let that desire for validation control us? What happens when we start defining our worth based on someone else's approval? We begin to give away our power. We become dependent on others to feel whole, to feel enough. And the more we seek that validation, the more we lose ourselves in the process. But imagine for a moment a life where you no longer need anyone's approval to feel confident in who you are. A life where you stand strong, unshaken by others' opinions, and unapologetically true to yourself. This is the life of someone who has shattered the need for validation. This is the life of someone who has discovered that their worth is inherent, not dependent on the approval of others. The first step to shattering the need for validation is to realize that it's an illusion, a trap. External validation, while it may feel good in the moment, is fleeting. It's like a drug. The high quickly fades, and you're left chasing after it again and again. But true self-worth doesn't come from the outside. It comes from within. It comes from knowing who you are, what you stand for, and being at peace with yourself, regardless of what anyone else thinks. This is where Stoicism offers powerful insight. The Stoics believed that we cannot control the opinions of others, and therefore it's foolish to rely on them for our sense of self. Marcus Aurelius said, "Don't waste time on what you can't control. You cannot control how others perceive you, how they judge you, or how they react to your decisions. But you can control how you perceive yourself. You can control the way you value your own actions, your own growth, and your own journey." When you start to understand this, you begin to see the futility of seeking validation from others. It's like trying to fill a cup that has no bottom. It's never enough. The more you try to please others, the more disconnected you become from your own truth. You become a version of yourself that exists only in relation to others, a shadow of who you were meant to be. But here's the truth. You don't need anyone's permission to be yourself. You don't need anyone's approval to live the life you've chosen. The moment you stop seeking validation, you free yourself. You begin to define your own worth by your actions, by your values, and by your commitment to your own personal growth. Your self-worth becomes intrinsic. It comes from within you, not from anyone else's recognition. This shift in mindset is liberating. No longer are you bound by the opinions of others. No longer do you find yourself altering your behavior, your choices, or your beliefs to fit into someone else's expectations. You become grounded in your own authenticity. You stop living for the applause, the likes, the compliments, and the external markers of success. Instead, you live for yourself. You live for your own approval. One of the key ways to shatter the need for validation is to practice radical self-acceptance. Embrace yourself, flaws, mistakes, and all. Understand that you are worthy, not because others tell you so, but because you exist. You don't need anyone else to validate your existence, your dreams, or your potential. You are enough, just as you are. This doesn't mean that you stop caring about others or stop valuing their opinions. It means that you no longer depend on their approval to feel good about yourself. It means that their opinions, while they may offer helpful feedback, don't define your self-worth. You become the authority on your own life. In addition, the more you let go of the need for validation, the more you begin to live in alignment with your true purpose. When you stop trying to please others, you free up the mental and emotional space to focus on what really matters to you. You can pursue your goals, your passions, and your desires without the constant weight of others' expectations. You become focused on your own path, your own vision, and your own journey. Think of it like an artist who creates a masterpiece not for the approval of others, but because they are compelled by an inner vision. The artist doesn't create for the applause. They create because it's what they were meant to do. Similarly, you are the artist of your own life. The more you embrace your authenticity, the more your life becomes your own creation, free from the constraints of what others think you should be. Here's the powerful truth. When you stop seeking validation, you start to attract the right people into your life, people who love and appreciate you for who you truly are, not for the version of yourself you created to please others. The relationships you build from this place are deep, authentic, and empowering. You no longer waste time on superficial connections or toxic dynamics. You become magnetic in your authenticity, drawing in the people and experiences that align with your true self. So how do you begin this process of shattering the need for validation? It starts with awareness. Recognize when you're seeking approval or adjusting yourself to fit someone else's expectations. Be honest with yourself about why you're doing it, and ask whether it aligns with your values and your true desires. Begin to challenge the belief that you need external validation to be worthy. And when you feel the urge to seek approval, pause. Take a step back and remind yourself that your worth is not up for negotiation. Start making decisions based on your own desires, your own values, and your own truth. Let your actions speak louder than words. Let your life be the testament to who you are, not to who others think you should be. The more you practice this, the more you'll find that you no longer need validation from the outside. You become self-sufficient, self-validated, and self-assured. As you continue on this journey, remember that you are enough. You always have been. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. You don't need to chase after approval or constantly worry about what others think. You are worthy because you are, and that's all that matters. Number 4, stand grounded, refuse to be shaken. In life, we're all faced with moments that test our resolve. The world moves fast, and often it throws challenges and obstacles in our path that feel overwhelming, destabilizing, and sometimes downright crushing. Whether it's personal loss, betrayal, failure, or even moments of doubt and uncertainty, the external world has a way of trying to shake us. It pushes, pulls, and challenges us in ways we never saw coming. And if we're not careful, it can send us spinning, throwing us off course, leaving us questioning ourselves and our purpose. But here's the thing, you have the power to stand grounded. You have the strength to refuse to be shaken, no matter what life throws your way. Imagine being like a mighty oak tree, deeply rooted in the earth. No matter how strong the wind blows or how heavy the storm rages, the tree stands firm. Its roots go deep into the ground, and its branches sway, but it does not break. In the same way, you can develop that same inner strength, that same unshakable foundation that will allow you to remain grounded through any storm that comes your way. Stoicism, one of the most enduring philosophies of strength and resilience, teaches us the importance of cultivating an unshakable inner peace. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The key to standing grounded and refusing to be shaken lies in realizing that while we can't always control what happens to us, we have complete control over how we respond to it. Our reactions, our emotions, and our sense of self-worth come from within, not from the external forces trying to knock us down. The first step in standing grounded is to cultivate inner peace. Inner peace is not the absence of chaos, but the ability to remain calm and centered despite it. It's about training your mind to respond with clarity, rather than reacting out of fear, anger, or frustration. The world will always have its storms. People will come and go, circumstances will shift, and challenges will arise. But your inner peace is the anchor that keeps you steady. A key component of this is emotional resilience. When life throws you curveballs, it's your ability to absorb the blow, learn from it, and move forward that determines your strength. Resilience isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about how you handle it. Think of resilience as the muscle that helps you bounce back from adversity. Every setback, every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen this muscle. Every time you choose not to let the external world rattle you, you build your resilience. This also requires a deep sense of self-awareness. Understanding your values, your purpose, and your own worth creates an unshakable foundation. When you know who you are and what you stand for, no one can take that from you. The opinions of others, the circumstances you face, and even the temporary setbacks in your life cannot change your core sense of self. You are anchored in your truth, and this knowledge acts as a fortress against anything that tries to shake you. To stand grounded, you also need to embrace the present moment. Many of us spend our time worrying about the future or regretting the past, but true strength comes from being fully present. When you are rooted in the present moment, you're not swept away by the what-ifs or the could-haves. You take each challenge as it comes, knowing that you have the power to face it. The Stoics believed that it's not the events themselves that disturb us, but our perception of them. When you stay present, you learn to see each obstacle as an opportunity to grow stronger and wiser. When the winds of life blow hard, the goal is not to avoid being shaken, but to learn how to withstand the storm. This requires a commitment to maintaining your emotional composure. Instead of reacting impulsively or emotionally to a challenge, choose to pause, take a deep breath, and respond with intentionality. You are not the sum of your circumstances, and you are not a victim of what happens to you. You are the captain of your own ship. No matter how high the waves or how fierce the winds, you have the power to steer yourself forward. Another important aspect of standing grounded is self-care. Just as a tree needs nourishing soil, sunlight, and water to grow strong, you need to nurture your mind, body, and spirit. Make time for self-care routines that help you stay centered. Whether it's meditation, journaling, exercise, or simply taking time for rest, self-care is a vital practice that strengthens your foundation. The stronger you feel in yourself, the more resilient you become when facing challenges. Furthermore, you must also accept the things you cannot control. There will always be forces outside of yourself that you cannot change. Other people's actions, the economy, the weather, or even the decisions of those around you. But when you accept these things as beyond your control, you release the anxiety that comes from trying to force change where you have no influence. Instead, you focus on what you can control, your reactions, your choices, and your ability to adapt. Standing grounded also requires detachment from outcomes. So often, we tie our happiness to specific outcomes, how we want a situation to end, how we want people to respond, or how we expect things to unfold. But when we let go of our attachment to these outcomes, we free ourselves from the pressure and stress of controlling everything. We can still work hard toward our goals, but we do so without being attached to a specific result. This detachment allows us to move through life with greater ease and stability. Imagine for a moment how powerful you'd be if you were able to stand firm in your beliefs and actions, no matter what's happening around you. What if you could face each challenge with the certainty that you are unshaken, that you will rise above it no matter how difficult the road gets? That's the power of standing grounded. It's a power that comes from within, unwavering, unyielding, and steadfast. And once you learn to cultivate this strength, nothing and no one will be able to knock you down. So, here's your challenge. Root yourself in your purpose, embrace your inner peace, and let go of the need to control everything around you. The next time you face adversity, don't crumble, don't bend. Stand your ground, remain rooted in who you are, and refuse to be shaken. Remember, just like that oak tree, your strength is in your foundation. Say it with me now. I am grounded, and nothing will shake me. Write it down. Let it be your affirmation. Stand firm in your truth and know that no storm can take away your strength. You are unshakable. Number 5, invest in yourself relentlessly. In a world filled with distractions, expectations, and the constant pressure to please others, there's one investment that will always pay the highest returns: investing in yourself. Far too often, we prioritize the needs, wants, and approval of others over our own growth, development, and well-being. We pour our time, energy, and resources into everything but ourselves, our careers, our relationships, our ambitions, until we're left feeling empty, depleted, and unfulfilled. But here's the truth. You are your most valuable asset. Without you being at your best, everything else will eventually fall apart. Investing in yourself is the most powerful and transformative thing you can do. It's about recognizing that your growth is the foundation for everything you want to achieve in life. It's not a luxury, not a passing indulgence. It's a commitment. It's a responsibility. And when you make this investment, everything else, your career, your relationships, your dreams, will follow suit. The world may try to pull you in 100 different directions, convincing you that your worth is measured by external achievements, possessions, or the approval of others. But true success, lasting fulfillment, and personal power come from the ability to invest in yourself relentlessly. Here's how you can do it. 1. Commit to lifelong learning. No one is ever done growing. Lifelong learning is the cornerstone of self-investment. The more knowledge you acquire, the more skills you develop, and the more experiences you gather, the more powerful and valuable you become. This doesn't just mean formal education or professional development. It means becoming a student of life. It's about reading, learning new things, expanding your worldview, and exploring your passions. Every book you read, every new skill you acquire, and every experience you embrace adds another layer to the person you are becoming. The more you invest in learning, the more you prepare yourself for the future, no matter what it holds. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Every obstacle you face is an opportunity to learn and grow. So when life challenges you, don't see it as a setback. See it as a chance to gain new knowledge, develop new strategies, and transform adversity into growth. 2. Focus on your health, physical, mental, and emotional. One of the most powerful ways to invest in yourself is by taking care of your body and mind. Health isn't just about looking good or feeling good in the moment. It's about creating a foundation of well-being that supports everything else in your life. This means regular physical exercise to keep your body strong and vibrant, but it also means prioritizing your mental and emotional health. Self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. Make time for activities that nourish you, whether that's working out, meditating, journaling, eating healthy foods, or simply getting enough rest. But don't just invest in physical health, invest in your mind and emotions too. Cultivate resilience through mindfulness, process your emotions in a healthy way, and surround yourself with supportive, uplifting people. Mental and emotional health are just as important as physical health when it comes to your overall well-being. When you take care of yourself holistically, physically, mentally, and emotionally, you become stronger, more resilient, and better equipped to handle whatever life throws at you. 3. Develop financial independence. Another key area to invest in yourself is your financial well-being. Financial independence gives you the freedom to live life on your terms. It removes the stress and worry that come from living paycheck to paycheck or relying on others for support. Start by learning about personal finance, budgeting, saving, investing, and creating multiple streams of income. The more control you have over your finances, the more options and opportunities you can create for yourself. Investing in your financial future is one of the most empowering steps you can take. Whether it's setting aside money for your future, investing in assets that will grow over time, or learning about passive income streams, every decision you make today impacts the financial freedom you'll experience tomorrow. Take small steps now, whether it's cutting back on unnecessary expenses, building up an emergency fund, or learning how to invest, and watch your financial security and independence grow. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." True wealth isn't about accumulating things, it's about creating financial independence so you can live with freedom and peace of mind. 4. Build emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, EQ, is your ability to understand and manage your own emotions, as well as your ability to understand and influence the emotions of others. It's a key ingredient to personal and professional success. Investing in your EQ means working on your self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and relationship skills. By developing emotional intelligence, you become better equipped to navigate difficult conversations, handle conflict with grace, and build deeper, more meaningful relationships. Emotional intelligence also helps you stay calm under pressure, make thoughtful decisions, and maintain strong interpersonal connections, skills that will serve you well in all areas of life. 5. Build your network and surround yourself with like-minded people. One of the most powerful ways to invest in yourself is by building relationships with people who can help you grow. Your network is your net worth. Surround yourself with individuals who inspire you, challenge you, and encourage you to become the best version of yourself. These are the people who will help you see your blind spots, push you outside of your comfort zone, and hold you accountable to your goals. Seek out mentors, people who have achieved what you want to achieve, and learn from their experiences. Build friendships with others who share your values and aspirations. Never underestimate the power of a strong, supportive community. 6. Invest in your own time and energy. Time is your most precious resource. Once it's gone, you can never get it back. Invest your time wisely. Make time for activities that will contribute to your growth and align with your values. Learn to say no to things and people that drain your energy or hold you back from your goals. Be intentional with your time and always ask yourself, does this align with the person I want to become? The way you spend your time reflects the value you place on your own growth. Every hour you dedicate to improving yourself is an investment that will compound over time. So, be deliberate in how you allocate your time, and remember that investing in yourself is the highest return you can get. 7. Embrace failure and learn from it. Finally, part of investing in yourself is having the courage to fail and learn from it. Failure is a stepping stone to success. Every time you fall, you get back up stronger and wiser. When you embrace failure as part of the growth process, you stop fearing it and start using it as a tool for learning and development. As Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. The challenges you face today are preparing you for the future, and every failure is an opportunity to build resilience, adaptability, and wisdom. The bottom line: relentless self-investment. The key to living a fulfilled, successful life is relentless self-investment. It's not a one-time thing or something you do only when you feel like it. It's a continuous, lifelong commitment to your own growth and development. The more you invest in yourself, the more you become a force of nature, unshakable, resilient, and ready to take on the world. Every step you take to improve your mind, body, finances, and relationships pays off in ways that will transform every aspect of your life. And remember, the world will try to distract you, to pull you away from your goals, but your self-investment is your constant companion, your strongest ally. So here's the challenge. Make an investment in yourself today, and continue investing in yourself every single day, whether it's through learning, health, finances, emotional intelligence, or relationships. Commit to it relentlessly. The future you want begins with the actions you take right now. Say it with me now. I am worth the investment. Write it down, drop it in the comments, and make that declaration. You are your greatest asset, and the more you invest in yourself, the more the world will invest in you. Number 6. Set boundaries they can't cross. In any relationship, whether personal, professional, or even with yourself, there's one foundational principle that can either protect or destroy your peace of mind: boundaries. Boundaries are not just lines in the sand. They are the barriers that define who you are, what you stand for, and what you will and will not tolerate. Boundaries are the guardrails of your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. And in a world where people are constantly trying to take more from you, whether it's your time, energy, resources, or emotions, setting boundaries isn't just important, it's essential. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. If you don't set your boundaries, others will set them for you. And if you let others define the rules, you will find yourself constantly giving in, constantly sacrificing your needs for theirs, and losing a piece of yourself in the process. You will find yourself stuck in a cycle where you're pulled in 100 different directions by the demands, expectations, and manipulations of others. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you allow people to constantly push your limits, overstep your boundaries, and demand more than you can give, your peace of mind, your sense of self, and your identity will be compromised. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are tools to protect your peace and preserve your sense of self. So, what does it mean to set boundaries they can't cross? How do you create a system that ensures your emotional, mental, and physical limits are respected by others? 1. Know what you stand for. Clarify your values. The first step in setting strong, unbreakable boundaries is understanding exactly what you stand for. What are your core values? What do you believe in? What do you need in order to feel respected, safe, and secure? Boundaries are the manifestation of these core beliefs and needs. When you know what you stand for, it becomes easier to draw the lines that others should not cross. You can't expect to set boundaries if you don't first understand where your own limits lie. Take time to reflect and ask yourself, what behaviors do I find unacceptable? What makes me feel disrespected or devalued? What do I need in order to feel emotionally, physically, and mentally healthy? Knowing your values is the foundation for everything else. Once you understand what you truly need to thrive, setting boundaries becomes a clear, non-negotiable act of self-care. 2. Understand that boundaries are not about control. Boundaries are often misunderstood as a way to control or manipulate others, but the truth is, setting boundaries is about self-respect, not about controlling how others behave. When you set a boundary, you are simply stating how you will allow others to treat you. It's about taking ownership of your emotional and mental space, not forcing others to conform to your demands. When you're clear on this distinction, you'll realize that boundaries aren't about punishing others or trying to change them. They're about protecting your energy and keeping yourself whole. You can't change other people, but you can choose how you respond to their behavior. Setting boundaries is your way of taking responsibility for your own life and your own emotional well-being. 3. Communicate boundaries clearly and assertively. One of the biggest mistakes people make when setting boundaries is being ambiguous about them. Boundaries aren't helpful if you're not clear about what they are. It's not enough to think, "I don't like that," or "I need more space." You must communicate your needs directly and with assertiveness. Being assertive doesn't mean being rude or aggressive. It simply means being clear, direct, and firm in your communication. This requires being willing to speak up and express yourself honestly, without fear of rejection or backlash. If you want to set boundaries they can't cross, you must stand firm in your convictions, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Here are some examples of clear, assertive boundary setting. I need to take a break from this conversation right now. We can talk later when we're both calmer. I don't have the emotional energy to help you right now. I need to prioritize my own well-being. I'm not comfortable with how you've been speaking to me. I expect to be treated with respect. Notice how these examples communicate both the need and the consequence of overstepping the boundary. This is essential. When someone crosses your boundaries, there should be a clear and predictable response. This helps reinforce the importance of your boundaries and ensures they are respected over time. 4. Consistency is key. Stand firm in your boundaries. Setting boundaries is one thing, but sticking to them is where many people falter. It's easy to set boundaries when you're feeling strong and confident, but what happens when someone challenges them? What happens when someone tests your limits to see if you'll back down? That's when your boundaries will be tested, and that's when your consistency will make all the difference. When you set a boundary, you must stand firm, no matter how uncomfortable or inconvenient it may feel in the moment. People will try to push, negotiate, or manipulate you into bending your rules. They might try to guilt-trip you, appeal to your emotions, or use your kindness against you. But if you want to set boundaries they can't cross, you must refuse to budge. If you allow someone to cross your boundaries once, you've just taught them that your limits are negotiable. This sends a message that you don't take your own needs seriously, and others will likely take advantage of that. The more consistent you are in enforcing your boundaries, the more likely others are to respect them. 5. Know when to walk away. No matter how well you set your boundaries, There will always be people who don't respect them. There will always be those who push, challenge, or outright disregard your limits. And this is where knowing when to walk away becomes crucial. If someone continuously violates your boundaries, it may be time to distance yourself from that person, or even cut ties altogether. You are not obligated to maintain relationships that drain your energy or compromise your values. Whether it's a toxic friend, a manipulative colleague, or a family member who refuses to respect your limits, walking away might be the most powerful boundary you can set. In the words of Epictetus, if someone is able to make you angry, then you are no longer the person you were before. You have the power to walk away from anything or anyone that compromises your peace of mind and well-being. Sometimes, the best way to preserve your boundaries is to protect your space by letting go of people or situations that no longer serve you. 6. Embrace self-worth and self-respect. Finally, the most important ingredient in setting boundaries they can't cross is self-worth. You must believe that you deserve respect, that your time and energy are valuable, and that your well-being is worth protecting. Self-respect is the foundation of all boundaries. When you value yourself, you create boundaries that reflect your worth. When you don't respect yourself, you allow others to cross your boundaries without consequence. Your boundaries are the reflection of how you see yourself and what you're willing to accept. So, before you can expect others to respect your boundaries, you must first learn to respect yourself. This means saying no when you need to, prioritizing your needs, and recognizing that your well-being comes first. Conclusion: boundaries are your power. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's not rude. It's not harsh. It's an act of self-preservation. Boundaries are what allow you to show up as the best version of yourself because they protect your energy, your peace, and your integrity. When you set boundaries that others can't cross, you create a life that is rooted in respect and self-care, not in appeasing others or compromising your values. Remember, you are the gatekeeper of your own life. The lines you draw are yours to define. And the moment you learn to enforce those boundaries, you will find that the people who truly respect you will remain, and those who don't will fall away. So, start today. Set the boundaries they can't cross. Protect your peace. Protect your energy. Protect your life. And remember, your boundaries are a declaration of your self-worth. Number 7. Let your silence roar with purpose. There's a unique power in silence, one that can't be easily understood until it's experienced firsthand. In a world where everyone is shouting for attention, scrambling to be seen and heard, there is a profound strength in choosing to be quiet. Silence is not weakness. In fact, it's often the most powerful statement you can make. When you learn to wield your silence with intention, it becomes a force that speaks louder than any words ever could. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, understood this deeply. He wrote, "We are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens." In the same way, the world is not disturbed by your silence, but by the power you exude while remaining silent. And the most impactful silence of all is not one that's born of fear or passivity, but one that is deliberate, controlled, and full of purpose. When you find yourself facing rejection, betrayal, or disappointment, your first instinct might be to react, to defend yourself, to explain, to seek validation or closure. But the greatest form of self-respect you can give yourself in those moments is the choice to remain silent. Your silence in the face of adversity is not a surrender. It's a declaration of your strength, your independence, and your control. Let's break down the powerful ways you can turn silence into your most formidable weapon. 1. Silence as a reflection of inner strength. The first step in embracing silence with purpose is understanding that silence is not the absence of words, but the presence of inner strength. When you choose silence, you are no longer ruled by your emotions. You are not acting out of anger, frustration, or desperation. Instead, your silence becomes a conscious choice, a powerful stand against the urge to react impulsively. Silence in this sense is an act of discipline. It's the ability to pause before speaking and decide that your words, or lack thereof, will carry far more weight than anything that might have come from a rash response. By withholding your words, you allow yourself the space to gather your thoughts, to process the situation, and to respond in a way that reflects your true power. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, famously said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." The same applies to silence. It's not that you don't have something to say, it's that you don't need to say it. True power lies in the ability to control your impulses, to choose when and how to speak. 2. Silence as a shield against manipulation. When someone tries to manipulate you, silence can be your greatest shield. People who seek to control or undermine others often rely on creating emotional reactions, guilt, fear, anger, to get what they want. They expect you to react to their provocations, to chase after their approval, or to explain yourself in a way that benefits them. But when you respond with silence, you disarm them. They're left with nothing to hold on to. No defense, no emotional response, no strings they can pull. In silence, you take away their power to control you. You refuse to engage in their games, and instead you stand as an immovable force, undeterred by their tactics, immune to their attempts to sway you. Epictetus teaches us that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you withhold your reaction, you regain control. Your silence does not diminish you. It protects your energy, your peace, and your sovereignty. It shows them that you're no longer playing their game. 3. Silence as a strategic tool. Strategic silence isn't about ignoring people or retreating into your shell. It's about choosing your moments to speak. Think of silence as a tool that you use when necessary to assert dominance in a conversation, a relationship, or a situation. Have you ever noticed that people often value what they can't easily have? Silence is the ultimate absence that others can't take for granted. When you remain quiet after being ignored, insulted, or dismissed, you're sending a powerful message. I'm not here for your drama. I don't need you to define me. I'm not desperate for your approval, your attention, or your validation. In a world of constant chatter and noise, your silence becomes a statement of purpose. It communicates that you have better things to do than to indulge in triviality or conflict. And it makes others pause, because silence is uncomfortable. It forces them to reflect. It forces them to question why they're not getting the reaction they expected from you. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." When someone hurts you, rather than lashing out, your silence becomes your way of rising above their behavior. It's a display of dignity, showing that you won't stoop to their level. 4. Silence as a path to clarity and self-knowledge. When you feel the impulse to speak, whether out of frustration, anger, or confusion, resist it. Choose silence as a way to find clarity. Sometimes, when life feels overwhelming, the best thing you can do is step back and create space between you and the noise around you. In silence, you have the opportunity to reconnect with yourself, to reflect on what you want and need, and to gain perspective on what's truly important. When you stop speaking and stop reacting, you open yourself to the possibility of seeing things more clearly. This practice is critical to Stoicism, to live in accordance with nature and your rational mind. Silence is the bridge between chaos and calm. It allows you to gather yourself, assess the situation objectively, and choose your next move with the wisdom that comes from stillness. It's the calm that clears the fog, revealing the path ahead. 5. Silence as a measure of self-respect. Finally, your silence shows others how to treat you. If you're constantly speaking and trying to explain yourself, you may be unknowingly teaching people to expect your attention at all times. But when you embrace silence, you set the bar higher. You show people that you demand respect not through your words, but through your actions. You refuse to chase after people who aren't valuing you. Silence is a form of self-respect. It's the recognition that you are worthy of more than just words. You are worthy of attention, care, and reciprocity. It's the refusal to give yourself away too easily. When you stop over-explaining, over-apologizing, or overextending yourself, you allow others to see you for who you truly are, and they will be forced to reckon with the fact that your silence carries more weight than anything you could ever say. Conclusion: your silence, your power. Let your silence roar with purpose. Don't fear it, don't shrink from it. Embrace it. Silence is not the absence of communication. It is the presence of power, control, and self-respect. When you allow your silence to speak for you, you are asserting your independence, your inner strength, and your refusal to engage in drama or manipulation. By letting silence be your tool, you give yourself the opportunity to choose when to speak and when to stay silent. And in doing so, you will find that your silence becomes a force of nature, a force that demands respect, commands attention, and leaves a lasting impact on everyone around you. Number 8. Transform into a version they don't recognize. There's a power in transformation that the world often overlooks. People get so used to seeing you in a certain light, based on your past actions, your old patterns, or the way you've always been, that they start to define you by it. They think they know who you are, what you stand for, and what you're capable of. But what happens when you refuse to stay the same? What happens when you become someone they don't even recognize? Change is inevitable, but true transformation, the kind that shakes everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world, takes place when you actively choose to evolve. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about shedding the limitations others have placed on you and stepping into the power of who you are meant to be. Think of it this way: you are not defined by the expectations others have of you. In fact, the more they think they know you, the more power you have to surprise them by transforming into a version of yourself that is unrecognizable. 1. Embrace your inner evolution. Transformation begins with the decision to embrace change, even when it's uncomfortable. It's about realizing that the person you were yesterday does not define who you are today. You have the power to reshape your identity, to unlearn old behaviors, and to cast off old limitations. When you choose to transform, you stop living in the shadow of your past mistakes, regrets, or anyone's preconceived notions of you. Instead, you step into a space of radical self-acceptance and boundless possibility. You shed the skin of your former self and evolve into the person you've always had the potential to be. But here's the catch. Others won't always be ready for this transformation. They've been conditioned to see you as the person they're familiar with, the one who fits their narrative, their expectations, their assumptions, and when you transform into something unrecognizable, it can frighten them, disrupt their world, and challenge their understanding of you. They might wonder, who are you now? Where did the person they knew go? But this is exactly what gives you your power, because when you stop being predictable, when you stop adhering to their version of who you should be, you regain control over your life. 2. Let go of the need to conform to their expectations. The truth is, most of us spend far too much time trying to fit into the boxes that other people create for us. We become who they expect us to be, mold ourselves to their expectations, and lose sight of the person we truly are. Transformation happens when you stop seeking validation from others and start creating the person you're meant to become. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Be yourself. The world has already taken care of the rest." This means you can stop trying to meet their standards, to please them, or to fit their narrative. Instead, you can embrace the freedom that comes from living life on your terms. Let go of their limitations. Let go of the labels they've placed on you, the good, the bad, and the indifferent, and start to embrace the full scope of your potential. Every time you let go of an expectation they've set, you make room for a new version of yourself to emerge. You might surprise them, and that's exactly the point. 3. Redefine your identity, starting from within. Transformation begins on the inside. It's not enough to change your appearance or your habits. You must first redefine your identity at the core. This is where the true power lies, in shaping your inner world, in taking control of your thoughts, your actions, and your mindset. The version of you that people know is just a small part of who you are. There are infinite layers to you, and most of them haven't even been explored yet. Start by asking yourself, who do I want to be? Who am I capable of becoming? Let the answers come from within, not from what others think of you. As you begin to redefine your identity, others will start to notice. You'll change the way you carry yourself. Your confidence will grow, your sense of self-worth will increase, and your ability to set boundaries and protect your energy will become second nature. And when they see you standing taller, speaking with purpose, and living with intent, they won't know what hit them. They will see a person who has evolved beyond their comprehension. 4th, let go of past attachments and embrace the future. One of the biggest hurdles to transformation is attachment to the past. Whether it's past mistakes, past relationships, or past versions of yourself, these attachments can weigh you down and prevent you from moving forward. To truly transform, you must release your attachment to who you were and allow yourself to step into the future with courage. You cannot carry the weight of your past and still expect to grow into the person you're meant to be. Sometimes this means letting go of people who can't keep up with your transformation. It might mean distancing yourself from the voices that constantly remind you of who you once were or the ways you've failed in the past. Letting go is liberating. It creates space for new possibilities, new experiences, and new relationships. And when you're no longer tied to the past, you're free to create a future that aligns with the person you're becoming, a version that is unrecognizable to those who thought they knew you. 5. Embrace the challenge of reinventing yourself. Transformation isn't easy. It's a challenge that requires commitment, consistency, and a willingness to face discomfort. But the rewards are immeasurable. As you reinvent yourself, you will encounter obstacles, resistance, and even doubt. But each time you overcome these challenges, you grow stronger. You become more confident in your new identity. It's important to remember that transformation isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about taking small, consistent steps toward becoming the best version of yourself. When you embrace the challenge of reinvention, you send a message to the world and to yourself that you are unbreakable, that you will continue to evolve, to grow, and to rise above any circumstances that try to keep you in the past. And as you continue this journey, the person you once were will fade into memory, leaving space for someone even more powerful to emerge. Leave a legacy. They'll never forget. The version of you that emerges from this transformation is one that will leave a mark on the world. It will leave a legacy in the minds of those who thought they knew you, but never truly understood you. As you step into your full potential, you will become a living testament to the power of change. They will never forget the person you've become, the version they didn't see coming. They will remember the person who refused to be defined by their expectations, the person who embraced their power and reinvented their life. And when they look back, they will see that you didn't need their approval. You didn't need to stay the same. You didn't need to meet their standards. You created your own path, one that was uniquely yours. Conclusion: become the person who defies their expectations. The most powerful transformation is the one that others never see coming. It's the one where you surprise them, redefine who you are, and become someone they don't even recognize. When you take control of your identity and actively choose to evolve, you stop being a reflection of their expectations and start being the architect of your own life. Transformation is a declaration. It's your statement to the world that you are no longer bound by their limitations, their assumptions, or their judgments. You are becoming something greater, something they'll never forget. So, don't be afraid to transform into a version they don't recognize. Let the world see you for who you truly are, and show them that you are always growing, always evolving, always becoming more than they ever expected. Number 9. Become the echo they can't forget. We all leave marks on the world in different ways. Some leave their names carved into monuments. Others leave their influence in the hearts of those they've touched. But the most powerful mark you can leave on someone, it's the kind that lingers, the kind that echoes long after you've walked away. When you choose to become the echo they can't forget, you're stepping into your power in a way that is undeniable. It's about leaving an imprint on the world around you so profound, so memorable, that people can't help but feel your presence, even when you're no longer physically there. The echoes you leave behind are not just memories. They are forces that reverberate through time, reminding others of the impact you had, the strength you displayed, and the legacy you created. This is more than being remembered. It's about becoming a force they can't escape, a presence that continues to resonate, no matter how far they try to run from it. 1. Let your actions speak louder than words. A person who makes an impact doesn't need to shout about their greatness. Their actions speak volumes. The way they carry themselves, the integrity they maintain, the way they handle adversity, all of this speaks louder than any words ever could. When you act with purpose, with strength, and with conviction, you send a message that can't be ignored. When you decide to become the echo they can't forget, it starts with your actions. You don't need to tell people who you are or what you're about. Your actions will tell the story for you. People will remember how you treated them, how you stood up for what you believe in, how you faced challenges head-on without backing down. In the end, your actions will resonate in their minds, even when you're no longer in their life. The way you live, how you respond to pain, and how you carry yourself through triumphs and failures alike will linger in their thoughts long after the moment has passed. 2. Be a source of unshakable confidence and strength. When you walk into a room, do people feel your presence? Do they notice the energy you bring or the confidence you exude? Becoming the echo they can't forget requires a sense of self-assuredness that demands attention without even trying. True power is quiet, and it comes from knowing who you are without needing anyone's validation. People who are unforgettable don't rely on others to tell them they're worthy or capable. They show the world their worth by how they carry themselves, how they speak, and how they act. Confidence isn't about arrogance or pride. It's about being comfortable in your own skin, knowing that you are enough, just as you are. When you live with unshakable confidence, you send out a ripple of energy that others can't ignore. They may not always express it, but they'll remember the way you made them feel. Secure, valued, and seen. Your confidence will be the echo that lingers long after you've left the room. Third, stand for what you believe in, no matter the opposition. People forget things, but they remember those who stand firm in their beliefs. The person who doesn't waver in the face of opposition, who stands for something greater than themselves, is the one who leaves a lasting impression. When you live in alignment with your core values, when you refuse to compromise on what matters most to you, others are forced to take notice.